Here we are.
Hello.
Good morning.
My parents have a very relevant Ricky mask right here.
I remember that. The Buddha
decoration.
Yeah.
So we got that. Sort of, it's a little bit of a Ricky museum in my parents' house. Unsanctioned.
That's how they keep up on your life. Just by
right.
listening to the pod.
That's right. CJ looking a little
Looks like old CJ.
cleaned up. What's going on?
I did get a haircut like a week ago, but I didn't like how it looked in some parts. So I got another one, and now it's shorter.
Yeah, you look like little kid CJ when you first signed on with the Ricky. Like you look like original CJ.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember. I forget exactly what stage it is in, but 2 times in the pandemic early on, I shaved my head completely.
Yes, I remember.
So I was like very bald at different points. So this is in my element. I feel like I'm coming back to myself with this shorter hair. I'm finding myself again.
Job interview, CJ.
Yeah. You'd fucking have a meeting with Sixers beat later.
Wow. Derek would be a tough boss.
He would.
He expects a lot.
Lee notices it. Bright and early, Lee. Welcome to the show.
He's there. He's locked in.
Wow. Look at Lee.
I wasn't sure how many people were going to be in here right now.
On. Saturday morning's a good time, man. It's coffee more. It's like coffee time. It's sitting around looking at the internet, reading the paper.
We're on in the kitchen of many households right now, I bet.
I kind of miss the physical paper, and I'm a with the digital subscription of the Wall Street Journal, you get like a Saturday paper. So every Saturday I bring it in, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm gonna look at this," and then it sits there for 5 days in the bag. I throw it out. I miss the concept of the paper, but I don't think I need to do it again. Here we go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is proudly presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. BodyBio. Get 20% off any BodyBio order with code FIRECJ at bodybio.com. That is the real promo code. FIRECJ, all one word. LL Pavorsky, where Rights to Ricky, LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. Here we are on the eve of Live Ricky 5 and the night after the Jaden Springer victory tour. With the Sixers with 1 game remaining, locked into the 3rd seed where they will play the Brooklyn Nets. Also on the pod, Doc Rivers apologizes for being wrong and not playing Paul Reed. Maybe. What do we have? I think maybe. Also a jam-packed voicemail box and email. I mentioned. Did I mention? No, I didn't mention. Subscribe to YouTube. We are at 9,210 subscribers. We have how many? Like a week to get to 10,000, or CJ gets fired. So
theoretically, the live podcast should help.
Yes, it should.
That's the last bump for CJ,
because it'll be right before the playoffs actually start. So if you're watching now, subscribe. If you're, well, I guess you don't have to be watching now to be watching. So, and if you're listening, subscribe on YouTube. So we have 800 to go. Would be a lot in a week, but we'll see.
But the only way to watch the live pod is on YouTube. Is that
on
correct?
YouTube? Yes, that is. We'll get to that later. But yes, you will not be able to listen to the live show on the pod. It will only be on YouTube.
Saving CJ's life. A Hail Mary for CJ's job.
We're trying. The Ricky playoff merch is available. People have started to get the hats already. The hats are on demand. There's the trucker hat and the dad hat with the Ricky logo. And there you have 5 days left to get the Isle of Dogs PJ Tucker shirt and the Coven This Brings Me No Joy shirt. Just go to rightstoRickySanchez.com and click on the t-shirt store link or the link in the podcast description. I did mention Kinetic. To me, the spring and the fall is the best for Kinetic because the gear is perfectly suited for spring and fall. The t-shirt and hoodie combo, which you can get at Kinetic, right there, kineticskateboarding.com. The sneakers, if you're ready, it's past winter, you're ready to bring out those new kicks that you can't find anywhere else, the Vans, the Cons, all that kind of stuff, kineticskateboarding.com. Use code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. 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 I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Rights to Ricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's doing the podcast from his parents' house like a little baby. That is Mike Levin.
Like a little baby. My daddy made me coffee this morning. And I'm borrowing his sweatpants right now. So yeah. They're a little big on me still, like a little baby. Is that a problem?
Well, I want to start this off. I feel like it'll start off the right way. We never do this, but I feel like the right thing to do is to start the podcast off with a specific voicemail that will get us in the correct direction.
Right.
You can leave us one at 833-LICKFACE. Just trust me on this one. You'll have to trust me.
Spike and Mike, longtime listener. I just can't wait to hear Mike lose his shit about Jaden Springer. He had like a putback dunk. I don't remember if he dunked it or laid it in at the end of regulation there. I was just looking forward to hearing that. Spike, we should give this man minutes.
There you go. Felt like the appropriate start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess losing my shit would be like something I would be surprised by. And I would be like, I can't believe it that it happened, but I can believe it. It did happen. Because what a wonderful game from Jaden Springer, reigning G League Finals MVP, Jaden Springer.
Congratulations, by the way, to the Bluecoats.
Congratulations to the Bluecoats.
Yeah, we got an email. I forget the guy's name, but he was like, "Wait a minute, we're wasting our time with the Sixers every year. Meanwhile, the Bluecoats have been in like 3 championships the last 3 years and just won the title." Yeah,
they're excellent.
Yeah.
This is no longer we should just do the Bluecoats podcast. Why are we doing anything else? What a waste of time. The Bluecoats can be like college basketball. When someone gets too good, then they leave. And then we get a new one.
We get a new one.
We get to do it. We should have 18 two-way roster spots. It'd be great. Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. That kicked ass. That kicked fucking ass. Not only like the putback dunk at the end, which was excellent, and a really nice heady cut and a heady like offensive rebound. But like barreling into Trae Young and hitting a floater on the baseline, it's a tough shot off the dribble. And then it's a tie game. And he's one-on-one with Trae Young at the end of the game. Atlanta wanted that game. Like it's important to say that Atlanta wanted to win that game. The Sixers did not care at all. They were resting their 6 best players. They didn't care.
The Sixers as an org didn't care, but the players that were
as an org,
Doc
Rivers has never cared more about anything than winning this game. And he locks up Trae Young, forces a shot clock violation at the end of regulation.
Yep.
And I mean, just excellent stuff. My favorite play of the game, you're not going to be surprised by it, is B-Ball Paul gets switched on to Trae.
Yeah.
I'm yelling. I'm screaming.
Don't help.
Don't help. Do not help. Begging them not to help. But Jaden Springer, he doesn't help in the way that every other Sixer has.
Oh, sorry. That was my fault.
He doesn't help in the way that every other Sixer has. He helps purposefully when Trae turns his back to like pull the ball out. blindside, pokes the ball out, starts a fast break, dunk for Dan House. And that's like a late in game play. That's a heady play. And like having guys that can just identify that and also have the physical tools to recover if that didn't work out. He didn't sell out for that steal. He was sort of like just inching away towards it and then made that play. That's great. B-ball Paul hold up strong. Like he's going to be, look, is Doc going to play him in the playoffs? No, he might not even play him tomorrow against Brooklyn just because people are getting too excited. He doesn't want to like incur that. But he's absolutely going to be a rotation player next year because he fills needs that this team desperately has holes on defense. And the shot has been looking pretty good. He's been hitting some catch and shoot stuff. Yeah, we got a text, me and you, Spike, from our buddy Ange, who said he does shoot like Eric Snow, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah,
he shoots like Eric Snow. He shoots like Evan Turner. Like that's not perfect. I'm not saying he's a perfect basketball player, but like he's absolutely an NBA athleticism, NBA level defense, and he's starting to be able to do. He has confidence on the offensive end, which is a lot of it, and we'll work out the rest. And so I'm very happy for him to go like a year and 80% of another year of just being like banished to the G League and not after you get drafted in the first round. Like it's got to be tough for the kid,
but also good for him. Good for his development. Like
he shouldn't have been playing in the NBA all this time. Like this was the right thing to do. But he's been looking good in the G League. Shouts out to all the people tracking that for us. And then they won a championship, and now he brings some championship experience to the Sixers bench. It kicked ass. Like he was great. I mean, he was just really, really great. He's a good basketball player. It was a bullshit foul at the end. I can't believe they fouled him out on Trae Young phantomly falling out of bounds. Like what a joke. The refs, the most gullible people in the world. But to come away with that win on the back of like primarily, I mean, there are a bunch of other guys we can talk about just because it's fun. And even though the game had zero consequence whatsoever, like just to bring the vibes back, to steal the vibes from the victory of bad vibes, from the jaws of bad vibes at the end of that, both the Heat game and the end of the Celtics game, single-handedly winning them the vibes back and getting some positive momentum in the playoffs. I'm proud of those guys. I know Doc is very happy, and it was a fun game to watch. And there's just not that many of those all the time with the Sixers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the headline going into it, and part of why everyone enjoyed it so much, not to say that it wasn't a fun game to watch, but the last 3 or 4 years of Sixers basketball has been wrought with expectation and pressure and weirdness, and in a game that doesn't matter to the Sixers, so you don't have to go in, and the main players are not playing, so whether they look good or bad is really sort of immaterial. There's only upside to it. It's a flashback to a forgotten era of the pod and the process, so it was nice going into it. Just 2 other quick things, one on the Hawks and then one on Springer himself. It is amazing how the Hawks eliminated the Sixers 2 years ago, went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and looked like they were on a very upward trajectory. And when I look at their players individually, it still seems as though they should be at least like pretty good. But Trae Young, there was just one, like he shoots from far away sometimes. There was one that was just so fucking unnecessary and silly. Like he could have taken 2 more steps in and still gotten it. It looks just like an incredible drag to play with him. Like it gives me, watching people play with him and Luka gives me more respect for Harden, I guess, as like a teammate.
Yeah.
Because, one of the things that I've thought about with both Luka and Trae is, are you going to find enough players who respect you enough to watch you do everything while they stand around and do everything hard?
Yeah.
And Harden was able to do it. Like he had enough players, not everyone, but enough players to do it. Okay. Anyway. And then on Springer, he looked excellent defensively.
Yes.
I thought, athleticism wise, maybe it's because he's a weird shape.
Yep.
Because does he
You
have
know
like
I like my weird shape, Spike. You know I
yeah,
like my weird shape, man.
because like he looked more athletic than I remember him looking previously.
Mhm.
There is something about like the bottom of him. Does he have like a giant ass and legs or something? Because
Yeah.
he's like athletic Niang or something in the way he's like built in some way.
My ideal man.
Yeah. And then the only thing that, not to raise like, not doubt, just like the thing that I wonder about watching him is that his handle obviously is like pretty iffy. And his shot is who knows in regular NBA competition. It's certainly good that he's confident enough to shoot it, which is, by the way, like the point of G League. Just get down there. It's what Paul Reed did, just get down there and like go to work. I look at him like wondering with his size, how tall is he? 6'3", 6'4", or something like that?
I think 6'3", yeah.
He's just like one of those two things, whether it's the handle or like the shot, just has to work out in a real way because he's not like a wing. He's not like 6'6" or 6'7" or something. So he's strong, obviously, but like figuring out like what his spot is on the court is like the thing that I wonder about. And if he can just figure out one of those two things, not both, but just like one of those two things, I think is the real key to him being like an actually valuable player.
Yeah, I think it's 100% DeAnthony Melton. It is like
right.
The path that DeAnthony Melton took from being like a freshman college point guard at USC, who was interesting, who was really very good on the defensive end, but like raw on the offensive end. And they had a weird like eligibility thing his sophomore year. He didn't play. And then he came to the league and, got drafted in the second round. This is Melton. And like bounced around a little bit and then got to Memphis and then just started 2 or 3 years into maybe 3 or 4 years into his career, like started hitting like 39% of his threes.
Yeah.
And just like worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And has gotten really confident as like a step, like over the last couple of years, a step into threes kind of player. And then this year you saw different spurts of him being like, oh, actually I can like have a little step back. I can like, if they go behind a screen, I can hit the shot. And so his outside shot has really developed. And Melton is still not like an excellent ball handler. He's still like, he goes north-south.
Yeah.
He can get where he has to get. He has the occasional crossover kind of thing. Springer is they're not like the same player stylistically, but as far as like a defense first combo guard, like that's what he's going to be. And yeah, he's just got to continue to work on the shot. And he was the point guard at Tennessee at a pretty interesting Tennessee team. And he has like passing instincts. I think a lot of it, and the difference that you saw of like what it looked like tonight or last night when he played 34 minutes after he played, 2 full games in the G League finals, is like a confidence thing. It was like, I know I'm not going to get pulled after one play. I know that, they're not, he doesn't usually comes in for garbage time. He has like 2 plays that he gets to be there for. And being able to settle in and work through stuff and just with the confidence that they're going to keep playing him was a really big deal. And I think you saw that he has grown confidently. He is making the right play. He's like getting rid of the ball, knowing that he'll be able to get it back on like the next possession. He's not trying to like do it all at once. So I absolutely 100% needs to get better as a ball handler. Trae Young took it from him one time. That shouldn't happen. Needs to get more confident as a like stepping into shots guy. It feels like there's the hesitation if a guy is like even considering contesting. He's not like taking threes like over people very often as they're contesting onto him. But he hit a couple threes off the catch in the G League playoffs, and hit a one last night. It's going to be a work in progress, but his skill set on defense is so unique and special. Like that physicality plus the side to side plus the athleticism, getting rebounds and 50-50 balls and stuff. Like he's just good, man. He's just a good player. He's helpful. He has the NBA body, and through his time in the G League has worked to become more just playable, just like competent all around. And I'm really excited. I would love to read a report of like what the what the D'Anthony Melton, Jaden Springer relationship is going to be like this offseason and next season. Like, does Jaden Springer know that is his destiny, and like should know that is who he should be like modeling everything after? Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy for the kid. I'm happy for a kid, and more importantly, I'm happy for me. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about it. It was a beautiful night for me, Spike.
Well,
and we needed that.
I mean, he came to the Sixers with, I'm not comparing him to Thibault, but like Thibault had played 4 years and Jaden Springer hadn't.
Yeah.
And not to say that this is the progression you want to see out of a player. Whereas that was the thing. Thibault obviously started with his floor much higher, but that's the difference when you're drafting a guy who has played 1 year in college.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Live Ricky 5 is tomorrow. The VIP sponsor is Kornblau and Kornblau. That's right. You're going to see Kornblau standing next to B-Ball Paul there if you're going. It's Kornblauing it up. He's also, his logos on the commemorative T-shirt or whatever that all the VIPs get. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process. Adam is a trusted member of the Ricky community. So many of our listeners have gone to Adam, whether it be for personal injury, which is his expertise and has been the expertise of Kornblau and Kornblau for 4 decades, or like any other legal issue. You don't know who to go to. He's your fucking guy, man. Trusted member of the community. Trusted. And you hear about, personal injury law firms all the time. They're advertised all the time. You only hear one on the Ricky because we don't want one of those personal injury law firms that is basically like bullshitting. I'm not for nothing, but like you're calling that place. You're not getting that person that's on TV. You're basically getting a call center where they refer you to somebody else. You don't even know who you're getting.
Also, they're so stiff on TV when there's like the personal injury commercial TV guys. They're on a billboard.
Yes.
No interest. You want them on a podcast.
Yes, a podcast. You want them buying corn dogs that sell out.
You need them.
As you very scared realize that you shouldn't have spelled corn dog the way that you did, and you rip all the papers off the walls, you put new ones up.
That's right.
Anyway, he's got offices all over the Delaware Valley, but he will come to you if you need him to. If you've been in an accident, if you've been hurt in any way, medical malpractice, which is their expertise, but slip and fall, injured at work, car accident, whatever it is, and you're hurt, don't be a hero. Don't shrug it off. Reach out to Adam. Doesn't cost you anything until he gets you something. 215-576-7200. And you're going to get Adam. 215-576-7200 or email kornblau@kornblau.com. KORNBLAU. We're spelling it for you now. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process. The other, I guess, standout player to me. First of all, I love that the game started off with a B-Ball Paul offensive rebound and put back. It was a nice little moment.
Yeah.
And then Jalen McDaniels is like a very confounding player. And I think we had heard about him before he got there, because physically he is like excellent. He's exactly who you want in this sort of team, like this sort of NBA. He's exactly who you want. When he looks good, he looks fucking excellent, like perfect. When he looks bad, he looks like just skilled enough to trick you into thinking that he's playable, only to ruin a playoff game or something. But it feels like over the last several games, shot-wise, is like looking the right way, I guess. Like he looks comfortable. And a game like this where he can get 24 minutes and maybe get 30 minutes, whatever the fuck he played.
24
points, right? Where he can play a bunch of minutes, get out there, maybe get some of the stuff he's not allowed to do out of his system. But I'm a fan of his in general. I'm sure that it is going to come back and bite me, but I do enjoy watching him in general.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's a very processy player, right? Where he's raw, but he has some skill and he has some like funky decision making at times. But he's super long. He competes at the defensive end and creates a bunch of actions on the defensive end, whether it's steals or blocks. And the jumper has been looking good lately. Important to know he was 6 of 6 from the line last night. I thought that was nice. It's just so much of the like finding those last few players to play alongside with Embiid, Maxey, Harden is fitting into like a really small box of how can you impact the game in a positive way when you're not really allowed to do a bunch of other stuff. And so like right now, like Jalen McDaniels right now versus Danny Green right now. Jalen McDaniels obviously better at so many things than Danny Green at this point in his career. Danny, when he was younger, could do more. But like at this point, Jalen is so much better at like, he's more athletic. He can handle the ball better. He can pass a little bit better. He like can offensive rebound. He's like all these kinds of things. But really what he needs to do when he's playing alongside those guys in the playoffs is pretend to be Danny Green.
Right.
Of just like, be ready to shoot off the catch, defend your stuff, don't go crazy, hand the ball to somebody else.
Do one fucked up thing in game, just so at least so we can talk about it.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I agree that last night was great for him. Work all those things out. It's like letting your bass player like play a bunch of guitar riffs and like concert doesn't matter. Like great, have fun. But we really need you on the beat, and we really need you to keep it tempo. Yeah. The rest of the time. But yeah, right, I mean he's kind of there's more skill there than fits the what they need from him. But they need him to get better in the areas over the next few years, hopefully, if they re-sign him. They need to get better in the areas that like playing alongside those guys entails. But having guys that can do that kind of stuff, especially when you do have like a PJ Tucker who doesn't do other stuff, except for like what is explicitly necessary, is nice. It's nice to be able to. I mean, like even George Niang is a guy who had a great game last night. I'm glad he shot 5 of 7 from 3. Like work the Kings out. Nice to have him like have a big moment, sidestep 3, and then get to talk shit to the other bench. But it's also like George Niang has a little bit of a floater that he uses sometimes. He can hit it like off the drive. He's like going high off the backboard. He has that touch. Like there is sometimes in those moments, even when it's Harden and Embiid and those guys, where you're gonna have to create something out of nothing and the shot clock stuff. And McDaniels is capable of that kind of thing. But can he do in the playoffs and over the next few years? Can he get better at the Danny Green stuff that would allow him to be really, really effective within this team unit?
You mentioned George Niang. I'd like to congratulate Niang on a good game in his next to last game of the season, as there is just fucking no way that poor guy is going to stay on the court for very long in non-garbage time in the playoffs. It like looking at Niang and looking at House. I don't know, man. Like, just this is what I would warn Doc. Just have a very quick trigger finger. Yeah. If he's out there and it looks like the other team has noticed, because he's somehow got his. It's interesting because like it seems like he in the offseason he like worked on his offensive game and his skills a little bit, but what I really wanted him to do was just like work out a fuck ton, and he didn't do that.
Both years we've had Niang on this team, it feels like the first 3 months I go like he's doing stuff on the defensive end, he's making things happen, he's sliding his feet, and then by the end of the season that all is gone. He doesn't do that anymore. He's not capable of doing it, and it seems like he's just like falling over himself to slide his feet and stuff. He's a good player, and he knows what he's doing, and his body doesn't always cooperate with what his brain tells him to do. But yeah, I agree. He's between him and House, and Dan House also had a nice game last night. Always tries once in a while. You give him enough minutes, he's going to try to dunk over and through somebody and detonate the rim, which I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, like one of those guys is probably going to need to play 8 minutes a game in the playoffs, and is it crazy to go like offense defense with those guys like immediately, like in like with like 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Doc's going offense defense with Niang and House, because Niang his shooting like is extremely valuable even when he's missing shots, and that is really important to remember. And Dan House, more athletic, can make some things happen better in the open court, obviously, all that stuff, but like doesn't explicitly take threes off the catch, has to get into his little weird step back things. And even though House is not an excellent defender, he can at least hold up in a way that Niang just hasn't been able to consistently. So
yeah, he gives the impression that he's at least a capable defender. House does like trick you into it.
For sure.
So we saw Trez, right? And like it is possible. I think, I'm curious to see your eyes on it. I think Montrezl Harrell has actually aged even more by like maybe another 10 years in his last 2 months on the bench.
I thought you were going to go the other way. I was like,
I know.
no, don't make me do it. Don't make me do it
Yeah, it
again.
was a trick. Yeah, God bless him, because he does love being out there. And he did love being out there. And he does love
that being the nicest thing you could say about a player. He seems like he's having so much fun.
Well, he's a great mean mugger after any basket whatsoever.
Yeah. He had like 18 putback dunks last night. That's fun for him.
Yeah, and you know what? What's his face? Deadman, the line didn't look great or whatever, but he did look like he is physically getting back to whatever he was. Like he looked at least like, I don't know, capable physically, whereas the first couple of games he looked pretty stiff. He didn't look quite as stiff last night. But
yeah. When we got Deadman, I was hoping for a stretch five. Yeah, I was hoping for the outline, if you can squint, the outline of a stretch five.
Nope.
And we didn't get it. He's not taking any of those. I was worried for a little bit as Trez was hitting putback dunk after putback dunk that this was the worst game of the season, actually, that this was he's convincing Doc to let him play in the playoffs, and I couldn't handle that. But it was still it's really such a parade to the rim when Trez is out there. Yeah. Like he can't do anything. He's you don't want your center only trying to take charges. And it's just like maybe in 1997, like ball handlers didn't know how to like get around those. But like they have a Euro step. They're pretty capable of evading like a large man standing still. He's not good. Is what I'm saying. I'm glad he had some fun out there.
Yeah.
That's nice. Hopefully he got some good high fives towards the end of the game. It's fun. It was fun to see him kiss the Hawks fans goodbye at the end. Good for him. But no, it's got to be B-ball Paul. And I thought, yeah, were there occasional like B-ball reaching a couple too many times, like over getting a little overhandsy on like rebounds that are already settled. But that's what he is. To me, there's no reason in this game or any game to take B-ball out because of foul trouble. It doesn't matter. Let him play. He's not going to foul out. And if he does foul out in the limited time, who gives a shit? You are willingly limiting his minutes when he's the best option out there. Coaches just, they're not thinking about stuff. They just like have the book of coaching, like it's a blackjack. Here's what the book says, like to take this guy out. Just let him play through it. This is a game that doesn't matter.
I think
I hate it.
Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Every like person is motivated in a different way to improve the things they need to improve on. And like there are some people you need to yell at, and there's some people you need to like be super nice to. You figure out like what is the carrot I can use to get this person to do what I want them to do. I do wonder if like Paul Reed doesn't seem like a guy that you're reasoning with, or I just wonder if he is
we'll ask him tomorrow.
Yeah. I wonder if he is so like minutes motivated, if they have figured out, boy, I mean, you can even see by that tweet, which I'm sure we will ask him about, where he was like tweeting at the refs, like, I don't want to lose minutes because of like a foul like this. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if he's just really trying to shot collar Paul into doing what he wants by pulling him out when he doesn't do what he wants.
I don't like that metaphor at all.
Well, you know what I mean.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It makes me upset.
Yeah.
I just feel like he's tried that, and it'd be helpful at this stage in this game, a game that doesn't matter, for him to go, hey, Paul, you have 3 fouls now. Learn to play with foul trouble because we need you out there in this particular game. He was a plus 16 in 25 minutes. Deadman and Trez in 28 minutes were a minus 13. Like
right.
They're just better when he's on the court. It hasn't been the case lately compared to when he's backing up Embiid, because Harden hasn't been as good. I think that was mentioned in maybe a Rich Hoffman article that I read. B-ball's not going to carry your second unit if Harden's not playing well or Maxi's not playing well or whatever. but like compared to the other options, B-ball is always the better option. Always. And I thought he had a nice game. I thought he did his thing once after the first bouts of foul trouble. I thought he was making the right plays, handling the ball to the right guys. It was a good like he's not going to play 25 minutes in the playoff game unless disaster strikes, but it was nice to get him some more extended run. And I would have liked to see him, okay, you have foul, rather than just pulling him in foul trouble because that's what the book says, like let him play through it and let him see what his game changes to or how he can like restrain himself when he knows he has to play with foul trouble.
I do want to give him credit for seeing that game last night and not going full G League. I'm the best player on the team, Paul. Yeah. And like just sort of like looking around and thinking, well, maybe I should just play like they want me to play the rest of the time, and I'll do that. Like, you know, when you watch it and then you look at the stat line, you're like, oh, like Paul just did what he was supposed to do. Yeah. So
I wouldn't have minded a couple threes, Paul. I will say that.
So BodyBio, Mike at Live Ricky 5 tomorrow will have a game with an attendee. By the way, if you're not going to Live Ricky 5, you'll be able to see it later in the week as we do our video presentation to save CJ. But there will be a game, and the winner will get not only a Ricky t-shirt, but a BodyBio prize pack. I didn't look in it. It arrived at my home yesterday. Hopefully it has some Elite in it. As actually, I know I said I've been drinking mainlining Elite, as I like to call it, the hydration solution, but I do have it in my water this morning. Elite is pure electrolytes. No sugar, no added colors, no added flavors, just the electrolytes. You just put a little in your drink in the morning, a little at night, and it will keep your body at the right amount of hydration with the water that you're drinking. For me, it was such an enormous problem solver in that I had horrible cramping problems in my calves, in my feet, in my abdomen, which is the worst cramping I ever had in my whole life, but gone when I started using Elite. And Mike has started using Gut Plus, and a true is panacea. I don't even know what that word means. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? A true panacea? I don't even know. Yeah. Is it correct?
I think so.
So Gut Plus, in short, what it will do is, you know, you hear about probiotics all the time. Take this probiotic, take this. But your body makes the correct probiotics for your body. And what Gut Plus will do is, instead of taking a probiotic supplement, it will allow your body, it gets rid of the bad bacteria so your body can create the probiotics, the right bacteria for your gut. And you get rid of all of those symptoms that you don't like, the bloat, the irregularity. If you're taking one gut supplement, it is a Gut Plus. I want you to go to bodybio.com, use code FIRECJ. FIRECJ. They said, we need a new promo code. I was like, use FIRECJ. They're like, really? I said, yes. FIRECJ, 20% off anything at BodyBio at any time. Bodybio.com. So we have...
we got to talk about one more guy.
Oh, who?
One more guy.
Who?
Shake Milton.
Yeah, I thought it was like kind of an uneven Shake game, to be quite honest with you.
But two back-to-back games with... Didn't he have 11 assists in the Heat game? Or
I don't know. I'm trying to wipe the Heat game out of my
Yeah, he had 16
memory.
assists last night. It was nice to see, like, Shake's thing has been like, I'm a combo guard, but I'm like only a point guard in a pinch. I'm really more like attacking off of like a rotation or something. And it was cool to see him like, all right, his shot's not falling. His like kind of weird leaners aren't really falling. He's not getting the line. He's not getting calls, but like he can set other guys up. And that's just a nice game from a guy that was like really carrying the ball handling duties with everybody else out there. And I was happy for him. I think he's, it's showing a little bit of another side to his game. I don't think Shake's going to be here next season. He's like barely in. He's like got 1 foot in the rotation, 1 foot out. I would like them to try him in the rotation other times when it feels like House is being too weird and Niang can't hold up. I think Shake is very, very capable of winning them a playoff game in a way that a lot of other guys off the bench aren't.
Sure, I agree with that. We've seen it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's a little bit part like confidence boost, part audition for other teams that are trying to think like, could he be our full-time backup point guard next year? This could be the last few times we see Shake play in a Sixers uniform, and I love the guy. I love taking a late second round pick and making him into like a really capable player. I'm happy for the guy. I'm a big Shake guy. I always have been, and it was nice to see him just show a different part of his game that he doesn't get to do much.
So the current DraftKings odds for Joel and MVP he is minus 1,000. Giannis and Jokic are plus 1,200. We got this email to Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com from Boston Anonymous. Dear Spike and Mike, no, did not greet CJ. I just want to be clear. I didn't cut it out. Longtime listener and fan here. My basketball related question. In order to best steel myself for this year's playoffs, how painful do you think the Sixers' inevitable exit will be? For example, on a scale of hard-fought Game 6 loss to the Bucks to a Game 7 loss to the Celtics on a Kawhi shot chucked by Al Horford, how badly do you think this season will end? We'll get to that second. But first, my sort of non-basketball question is, isn't this year's MVP award really for all of us? I know Joel Embiid was the one dropping 40 and 15 while playing all NBA level D, but he's been doing that for years. It took a team effort to convince a bunch of flawed human voters to eventually come around. These heroes include people like Mike O'Connor, who took a rhetorical sledgehammer to the self-described hoop stat heads who are clearly neither because they A, apparently never tried to play defense, and B, think our modeling is teaching someone how to talk like a pirate. That's nerd shade, Esther. The army of selfless Twitter and social media warriors who spent the last few years badgering NBA writers, talking heads, and others so that they would finally come around to Embiid's candidacy. And of course, how could we forget the two of you? As someone familiar with the subtly are of mind fucks, I've been particularly awed by how effective you've been in swaying key opinion leaders in the NBA pundit space. From your masterful good cop, bad cop browbeating of Zach Lowe to your tough love bands of Kevin O'Connor's and others. Mike, is it our MVP or Joel Embiid's MVP?
I think it's definitely both. I think it's definitely both. We are a part of it. I think, and that to me is the MVP is not the NBA Finals champion. You know,
right?
It is narrative based. It is context based. It is definitely like a "what have you done for me lately" thing. Every game at the end of the season is impacting it. You know, we weren't saying in November 19th, like, all right, that's it. He made a statement in the MVP. Like Embiid having a great game against Boston, one of his best, and Jokic losing to the Rockets, like that being like the nail in the coffin of the MVP case, is funny and vague and a little dumb, but like it indicative of the fact that it's not just like you look at the stats and it spits it out. Like the MVP is part of like a thing. Like it does matter that that Jokic has won the MVP 2 straight years.
Of course,
it's all part of it. That's all part of the conversation and the like the context around this award. So yeah, as everything, we do take credit for some of it. And it's right now it looks like Joel's not going to play against Brooklyn in the last game of the season, and it seems like he's going to be the scoring champ for the second straight year, the first center to do that in back-to-back years. Is it since Shaq, or is it before Shaq? I think it might be before Shaq, because he's the first. He was the first center to win it since Shaq, to win the scoring champ title. But I think it's since like well before that. I saw it last night. I'm forgetting, but like that's crazy in the modern NBA. When the center position is so devalued offensively, it's so hard to build around like the traditional back to the basket center, and Embiid has kind of gone away from that, but is still like a traditional center in a bunch of ways. And for him to win the scoring title at back-to-back seasons on a contending-ish team, that's unbelievable. While also being arguably a top, let's say he's not the best defensive center in the league, but he's capable of doing it. Let's say he's a top 5 defensive center in the league. That's while also being the scoring champion. Like that's crazy. A lot.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And he should be the MVP. And Jokic is excellent also. And Giannis is excellent also, even though Giannis is not the best player on his team.
Brook Lopez is.
It's got to be Joel's, and it is for him, and it's for us. And earlier in this season, when the Celtics were like the best offense of all time, and I was going like, fucking Jason Tatum's going to win a goddamn MVP. And we traded him in the pick swap trade. and Markel, and it's just going to be torture. And
Red
then
Geo.
he's fallen off a little bit, and still having an excellent season. He's still a good player, but like the devastation I felt at having to go. We the pick swapped so that we could trade an MVP in Jason Tatum. Even though that's not exactly how it worked, it was so sharp for me at that moment, and for it to have gone away from that to no, it's Joel's and the guy who missed the first 2 seasons of his career, who might never play, who all the stuff that happened to him that we lived through, that people that were around for the Sixers and giving a shit about the Sixers during the time that they were winning 10 or 18 or 19 games. It's extremely validating. So of course it's us. Of course.
Yeah, it's all of us. By the way, that is part of why we like him so much, because we feel the kinship that he's been here the whole time, just like us. It's the only ones who have been here the entire time.
Yeah.
So I actually don't want to answer the how will this year end thing, because tomorrow's Live Ricky 5. I'm going to ask you for your, it won't be podcasted, but your prediction will be public when the thing comes on YouTube. So I don't want to do it here, if you don't mind.
That's fair. I should say, I don't know why I've been avoiding making this announcement, but I should say that this is my last podcast for a few weeks. Because the day after Live Ricky 5, I am going to Europe for my honeymoon. So
planned impeccably.
But look, me and Alyssa are never off at the same time, and we've never taken a big trip together. So unfortunately, I'm missing the first round. It's going to be on you guys to get me to the second round. If they lose in the first round, I don't think anybody wants me here anyway, because I would have melted down. But get me to the second round, and I'll carry us from there. So, yeah, it's weird. It's gonna be weird to be either not watching or watching in the middle of the night or something from various cities in Europe. But
just know that if they are eliminated in the first round, I am going to call your cell phone during the pod to try to get you on it. Just be aware that that's going to happen. Even if you haven't seen it.
I'm at the Vatican. I have to whisper, but I will curse. I will fucking lose my mind here.
I'm in the dark in the Vatican. So we are excited to see everyone tomorrow. Paul Reed will be there. We're excited to have Eliza and Charlie from War on Drugs, and Mutlu and Prez Carter, all of our musical guests, the Process Hall of Fame inductions. It'll be great. So if you are not going to be there, Mortgage CS has allowed us to do an encore video presentation. They are sponsoring that. It'll be out later in the week. There won't be a pod of it. So, but that is tomorrow night. I can't believe it's here. It's been 3 years. Ours was 4. No, 3. Oh, yeah, it's been 4. Our last was scheduled 3 years ago. It was like March 15th, 2020 or something like that. I remember like a month before it, you were like, with this COVID thing, like, I don't know if I want to get on a plane to like go out there for Live Ricky. I was like, oh, it'll be fucking fine. Stop being a weirdo about it. And then I ended up being wrong on that one, so
happens.
Yeah. Actually, we will get to this in a second, because Doc Rivers, we do have a text of Doc Rivers' apology.
Let's hear this.
For not playing Paul Reed. It's unbelievable. Right after we talk about somebody who will be there tomorrow, and that is one LL Pavorsky of LL Pavorsky Jewelers has not missed a Live Ricky.
No.
Has not missed a trip.
I'm surprised that he wasn't at my parents' house when I got here. Because part of
have you checked every room?
No, I guess I haven't. I haven't checked a few closets.
LL, the first sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, that is incredibly meaningful, and has sold 320 engagement rings to Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners over the years. And by the way, when you look at his Twitter profile right now, CJ, could you bring up his Twitter profile? Like, I will explain it to everyone listening, but I think everyone watching does deserve to see like his header image and his profile picture right now. Lee been there for 35 years, right there at 707 Walnut, and treats people with the sort of respect that you don't get. There we go. His His header. So his profile image is the Hinkie banner being raised at Xfinity Live at a lottery party.
Well, hang on. Go back to that.
Yes.
It's not just the Hinkie banner. It's as if an LL Pavorsky banner is also being raised.
Yes, you're right. There is a logo in there that was not in the actual picture. And then his like, what's that? The header image? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Is he has leaned into that he is maybe involved in Coven?
Wow.
If you'll remember when we saw the early pictures of CJ being held hostage, he would say, give him whatever he wants about Coven. So who knows? Anyway, this is the kind of guy you want to buy really expensive jewelry from. There's not really any other option. So many of our listeners have. Just fucking do it. 707 Walnut. If you want to make an appointment, which is the only way to buy an engagement ring from Lee, 215-627-2252 or lee@llpavorsky.com, or just tweet at him at his psychotic fucking Twitter at llpavorsky, a supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. LL Pavorsky Jewelers
will come on your honeymoon as he's coming on mine.
Oh my God, that would be great.
That'd be very funny. Just me, Alyssa, and Lee just traversing through Europe, finding Sixers bars and wherever the fuck.
So there is a Rights to Ricky Sanchez Reddit, our Rights to Ricky Sanchez. When they're not discussing the relationship issues between Mike and I, they are doing things like this.
Body language. There's Embiid Simmons body language. There's Spike and Mike body language. You gotta diagnose it all.
Yeah,
it's all worth talking about.
The headline on this one is Doc Rivers apologizes for not playing Paul Reed. Mike wanted to hear Doc apologize for not playing Paul Reed. I wanted to hear that apology. So I decided to ask ChatGPT. My prompt was this: pretend you're Doc Rivers. Write an apology explaining why he didn't play Paul Reed and what a mistake that was. Write it in the voice of Doc Rivers using his language and speaking style. Here is that apology.
Okay.
Hey, Philly fans and basketball lovers. As Doc Rivers, head coach of your Philadelphia 76ers, I got to come clean with y'all. I messed up not playing Paul Reed in some of those big games this season, and I know it's got you feeling a little let down. I'm truly sorry for that, and I want you to know I take responsibility for it. Look, sometimes in this game, you miss the mark trying to find the best lineup and game plan. I dropped the ball on this one, not seeing how much of an impact Paul could have had on our team. The guy's got skills, heart, and hustle, everything you need to make it in this league. Thinking back, I can see now that not playing Paul was a mistake. His energy, athleticism, and ability to lock down on D could have turned the tide in some of those tough games. Plus, giving him more time on the floor would have helped him grow as a player, and that's something we all benefited from. Philly fans, I know you're some of the most passionate and dedicated in the game. That's what pushes us to be better every day. I'll apologize for letting you down and promise I'm going to work my tail off to get this team back on track and make y'all proud. Keep the faith. Doc Rivers, head coach, Philadelphia 76ers.
A lot of y'all. Was it like a spiritually helpful experience for me to hear that? Even you saying it, written by mediocre AI? Absolutely. But I'm also not worried about AI taking my job as a writer or as even a Doc Rivers impersonator.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, nothing could convince me that AI and ChatGPT is not where everybody thinks it is. As like this text right here.
Yeah.
You know,
I think no one's going to be fooled by that.
No. What else do I have? Why don't we get to some voicemails and some emails? Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com and 833-LickFace is the voicemail. Here's another voicemail, Mike.
What up, fellas? Mike, I am glad that you're looking forward to this guy's screenplay. Just got back from the Hawks-Sixers game. That was fucking hella fun. The guy that I went with, he has Tony Brothers' phone number. I would not normally hand out somebody's phone number. They just would feel icky about it. But I would give it to Mike such that he could call Tony Brothers and basically just be like, this is why you're the worst. Mike's general distaste for refs and the fact that this news fell into my lap. I don't know. Let me know if you guys want Tony Brothers' phone number. I will fucking send it to you. such that Mike can berate him once, of course.
There we go. Mike, would you like Tony Brothers' phone number?
I mean, a little bit. I don't think I would. I would just want to. You always hear about like older guys who like, and then we started like a phone relationship where we would call each other every night, and I would just want Tony to call me every night afterwards and go like, "What do you think that I did wrong? Like, what? And we'd start talking, about like life and what's going on with him, and then he develops a better like sense of when not to blow his little fucking whistle, and I develop a little more respect and appreciation for the referees as human beings. I could see that happening, or I could just text him like, "You motherfucker, what are you doing, you gullible idiot?" They're all so gullible. It's so easy to fool them, and they shouldn't be ashamed of that. Or their numbers should be, I guess they should be doxxed, I guess is what I'm saying. I think that might be the case.
The reason you can't have the number is the guy was like, just so you can call him once. There's no way you can be expected to. Yeah.
Although I have a number of people's numbers that I was restrained. I guess I don't dislike as many people as I dislike refs. So it'd be tough for me, but yeah.
Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This comes from Ryan. Listener since the Jarvis Vernado era. I know Mike isn't back. He's in a different place, but after his reaction to beating the Celtics, I'm scared to know what that place is. My question is this, my basketball question. We have learned in the last week or so, what have we learned in the last week or so about what to expect for playoff rotation? Seems like B-Ball Paul will get most backup center minutes, but Doc has been going 5 deep off the bench when he won't have to in the playoffs. Do you expect B-Ball, Niang, Milton, and insert matchup specific other? I expect Yang to not play very many playoff minutes, and I think we're going to see a lot of House and Jalen McDaniels. That is sort of my guess. You?
I think it'll depend on matchup. I do think Niang will play in the Brooklyn series. I do think that Doc will go. I think right now I think Shake is out of the rotation right now, as far as the playoff rotation goes. And so I think it'll be B-Ball, God willing. It'll be Milton. It'll be McDaniels. And then it'll be some combination of Niang and House, and maybe it just slims down as the playoffs go on. I would like Doc to be a little light on his feet as to who he uses. Doc famously walks like he's not light on his feet.
Yeah. That's the opposite. Doesn't walk or act like he's light on his feet in really any way.
But I would like, including like if Tobias isn't playing well, not closing with Tobias, or if PJ Tucker's not playing well, not playing him in the second half. Like I'm fine. I want him to. It's around those guys finding the thing that's working the best and going this. Not really worrying about who's happy and who's like earned minutes or whatever. It's like who's playing well right now, who needs to be in there, who gives us the best chance to win right now. So we'll see. So it's a little bit like we're looking off a cliff and we don't know what horrors await us below. But
we know it's a cliff.
We do know it's a cliff. We can definitely tell it's a cliff in some way. And it's just like, is it just a cliff and a long fall, which would hurt? But is there going to be like shards of glass coming out of the thing?
Right. Man, have you followed at all? I feel like it's like, even though this story has been out there, I feel like nobody is noticing that Jeremy Renner definitely almost died.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading a article now that he's like well enough to talk about what he experienced when he got run over by like that snow plow or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm bringing this up is he said
Jeremy Renner to play in the playoffs.
No, maybe, you never know. He said, because you hear about people being in accidents like this and they like black out. They don't remember the pain or whatever. He said he remembers every single second of the pain and what it felt like, and like remembers exactly like what was happening when it was like, and when you see what he looked like afterwards and read what happened, is just fucking horrifying. I'm never going anywhere near a giant snowplow thing ever. Non-basketball question is my son is super into Pokemon, and it's amazing how popular it still is. Does the longevity of any toy or thing from your childhood surprise you?
I would say I'm surprised by Pokemon. There's something else that I'm thinking of, but I can't think of what it is. I've thought of this recently of being like, I can't believe kids are still doing that, but I don't remember. But I think it warms my heart a little bit. Like the popularity of like Disneyland warms my heart a little bit, of like the fact that it was around when my dad was a kid and it's still around now. Like it's nice things are changing so often, you know?
Yeah.
These uncertain times, you know, that once in a while it's like, oh, they're still doing the thing that we were doing. That's cool. Good for them.
It's sort of amazing to me, but like it seems like sort of a creepy, like weird money grab way. But like baseball cards are a thing again. You know, like I bought my first car selling baseball cards when I was 16. But like,
you bought a car selling baseball cards?
I did. It was $6,000 or $6,500. It was a 1984 Nissan 300ZX Turbo.
Wow.
And because at that time, what you would do is you would buy like 50 of a guy. And if it went up, you would be able, you know, like,
sure.
And
I think people are still doing that.
But now it's like this weird thing where like there's only 2 of each card and you have to spend $50 to get it graded. And for some reason, like who's the quarterback on the Chargers that everybody thinks is awesome? Justin Herbert. Like, hey, this Justin Herbert rookie is $27,000 or something. Like it seems like a little bit NFT-ish to me right now, right this second. But
yeah,
who knows?
I was gifted. Saw Tanner and Dave last night, watched the game together. And Tanner's a card guy in a way that I don't really understand. But I love him. And he gave me a Jaden Springer rookie card.
Oh, there you go.
And unfortunately an Al Horford card, which I will set on fire, and a Danny Green card. So maybe I add that. Maybe I add that courtesy of West End Breaks, Tanner's card. I was gonna say playing card. No, trading card company. Maybe I add that to the BodyBio bag.
Yeah.
I don't want the Al Horford card. No thanks.
833 Lickface is the voicemail number.
Hey guys, this is Tyler, longtime listener, continuously ignored caller, calling today to compare the team I grew up with, the Mavericks, with Dirk Nowitzki, to the Sixers, the team I'm a fan of now, with Embiid. Both are pretty similar in terms of that they have generational big men who have always, the organization has always failed to build around them in the proper way. They definitely deserve to win more than they've had. And I was using this as kind of a way to get myself excited that, like, you know, with this struggle comes like the ultimate fulfillment when they finally win. It's like, oh God, I just orgasmed out of my soul. But then I realized that this might be the worst time to do that comparison, because Dirk Nowitzki, when he was 29, was when he won his first MVP. Embiid is 29, about to win his first MVP. Dirk Nowitzki, after winning his MVP, he accepted it right after they had lost as the 1 seed to the 8-seeded Golden State Warriors. Embiid is about to get his, and I am so concerned that we are just going to repeat history, and Embiid will be accepting his MVP after being kicked out in the first round by his fucking shit-ass Brooklyn Nets. We cannot let this happen. Let's get Nikola Jokic the MVP. Make a push now. Prevent history from repeating. Let's go to the finals and win the championship. Embiid gets the MVP there. That's the only way we can break the cycle. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. It would be funny if Jokic won MVP after losing to like the Lakers in the first round or something.
Yes, it would.
I think I'm not as concerned about the shit ass Nets beating the Sixers, although maybe I should be. But I think the Dirk Mavs comparison is a good one in the sense of, a lot of playoff disappointment, a lot of like, this guy's good, but like doesn't bring it in the playoffs. I mean, there was like a narrative about how Dirk is soft, and that was always wrong. But Embiid doesn't have that narrative around him at all because he's obviously so physical. But but definitely the case of like elite player has never had playoff success, finally makes a run in 2011. That'd be nice. That'd be nice if that was the case. I'd be happy with that trajectory. Dirk didn't have the like supporting cast that Embiid now does in Harden, obviously, although he's a little after is excellent. But like, I mean, I guess that he had, I don't know exactly when Jason Kidd got there, but was Jason Kidd there for the finals run in Dallas? I don't remember.
He was.
But there's similarities there. I like it. I like it as a unique big man for all time, but also in their era, unique still.
Yeah, that was a cool team, that Dallas team. Honestly, they had so many guys. It's like I feel like the teams with so many guys right now end up being teams that we think are going to be good and actually aren't good. Just sort of like the Raptors, sort of, oh, they have a guy that does this and a guy that does that. But they did have that era of Jason Kidd, the 3-point shooting era of Jason Kidd. Final email before we get out of here. Rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This comes from Robert. A basketball and a non-basketball question. Basketball, please tell Daryl to tell Doc to stop calling timeouts to inbound from the fucking side. It's always a disaster. Inbounding from the baseline, especially after a make, is so much easier. Coach Mike, your thoughts?
Well, I think when there's like 3 seconds left, you definitely want to advance the ball so you have a little bit more time. When there's like 7 or 8 seconds left, I like getting a little head of steam and them having to cover the whole court. So I guess it would depend, but yeah, I just think that there's some, with all coaches and Doc being one of them, there's some like, oh, this is what you do type thing, including the foul trouble stuff I talked about earlier, where you're like, just think about it for a second and don't always do the same thing.
And then non-basketball question, is there any non-player that you dislike more than Anna Horford? She sucks, and so does her brother, and so does that stupid racist city of mouth-breathing Simmons clones. I have to say, and I think I have her muted. I don't follow her or whatever. She does suck. I mean, like Anna, she was on this podcast.
Yeah, we had fun with her on the podcast.
Yes.
She was good.
But she sucks. She sucks. I mean, and maybe in real life she's fine, and on the internet, like we're all worse versions of ourselves on some level on the internet. But man, I haven't thought of a an NBA adjacent person, a non-player that sucks in their rankings. But Anna Horford assuredly sucks. I mean, she sucks.
I think that it's more indicative of how bad the season with Horford was here that makes her more annoying because of now he's on Boston and he had like success on Boston. So just like the whole Horford experience sucks. And she's vocal about it. So it's if Horford was great on the Sixers and they had success, I don't think that we would have thought that at all.
Yeah, she sucks. My opinion.
I mean, fuck Boston generally and entirely and forever.
We will see you
Wait,
tomorrow.
I do have a quick story. The story that I didn't tell last time.
Oh, okay.
This is perfect because there's going to be 8 people listening to it, and that's all we need to hear it. Okay, Spike.
Mm-hmm.
In the fantasy basketball league that you were in,
yes,
that you are no longer in, that you left after you won a championship with legs.
Yep.
In 2020, me and Miles. You remember Miles?
Uh-huh.
Me and Miles were far and away 1-2, about to go into the playoffs. The league shuts down, NBA, and then the execs league shut down.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out with John Gonzalez at the beginning of the pandemic, who is the commissioner, like, what do we do about this? Me and Miles went all in for that year as we're trading future picks. You understand how this goes. You're trading future cap. You can't just sort of like go, the season didn't happen, let's start next year. But that's unfortunate. We wanted to go like split the money, whatever, something. John decides no money. Just the league didn't happen. So then we go into next season with like my first pick is like in the 7th round or some shit. Like we're pretty upset. Obviously it's a pandemic. We're upset about other stuff, but as a fantasy basketball general manager, I have to think of my team first. So my fans were obviously upset.
Sure.
So we both Miles and I tank in 2021. after the year after we were both positioned well to make a run at the finals. We both had already clinched the bye at that time. 2021 tank, upset. 2022, me and Miles make a run. We both get the bye, the two of us. In the first round, we meet in the finals. And we go down to the last day. And because Isaiah Hartenstein missed a free throw, we tie. He wins field goal percentage for free throw percentage.
Okay.
And then we tie 4-4 in the championship. And because Miles had passed me in the last week of the season, he wins the tiebreaker, which is regular season record. So I lose the championship on a free throw tie last year. So Miles wins the championship. Miles gets vengeance for the COVID league shutdown.
Right.
I'm always a bridesmaid, never a bride. This season, I go even more all in. I trade everything. I go legs level all in. You know how legs goes all in.
Yeah.
He's not a half measure.
Yeah, Legs and I were a good combo because I would settle him down. Like I was the owner, he was the GM, right?
Yeah. So this season, I go all in. I go so all in. I have no cap space to where John tells me, "Hey man, you can't like go all in and then quit the league next season." And I was like, "Fuck you! I wouldn't do that, you asshole. I'm just trying to win a championship here because of what happened last time." Anyway, I go in. I battle through injuries. I acquire guys. I'm working the waiver wire all season long. I have to trade LaMelo when he gets hurt. I have to cut Zion when he doesn't come back. I have to trade LeBron when he doesn't come back. I gut my way to the 2 seed after starting in the hole because of injuries during the season. I get the 2 seed. I get the bye. In the second round of the playoffs, I have the advantage here, and I instead of trying to win the categories handily, I pick up Kevin Durant, who got cut in the playoffs, because when you're in the playoffs, you have to cut guys if they're not playing. It's all about games played. I pick up Kevin Durant, and I almost lose in the second round, but instead I tie in the second round. But what do I have, Spike? The tiebreaker. In the second round. So I advance after the tiebreaker burns me last year. I use the tiebreaker to my advantage to keep Kevin Durant this draft. So I advance to the playoffs, to the championship, to face who else? John Gonzalez. My mortal nemesis.
Yeah.
And the nemesis of the league, his name, you remember his name in the league, is Villains. He is really he's the Lakers of this league. He is both the executives, he's in Daniel Stern is in his pocket, everything.
Well, honestly, there should be an executive of the league who does not have a team.
Yeah, I agree
honestly,
I agree with that. But John is it. Yeah. And John didn't make this is a little bit showy, but he didn't make an ad drop all season long. That's how good his team was.
Okay.
He'd made trades, he acquired guys, whatever, but he didn't make an ad drop all season long. He did an incredible team. But I had been working the waiver wire all season long. So like I had a rhythm to it. I felt one with it. There were guys that had known my system that I had used for months. That it's like this guy, like I had Trey Jones during the John Morant stuff, and then I had to go let him go. Like there were guys that I just felt comfortable working with in my system over the course of the season that John just didn't have. He just didn't have. He was holding on to guys that were like a little bit game time decisions, a little bit like, oh, is Tyrese Halliburton going to play? Like, are we going to go for him? But I was one with the waivers, and I was more. I wanted it more this season, and so we go. We're both dealing with injuries. I have guys that get hurt over the course of the week. I have to cut him. Julius Randle sprains his ankle. He's gone. I don't think about it. I'm not playing for next season. There is no tomorrow, Spike. I'm going all in right now in the spirit of our buddy Legs. And it goes down to the last day of the season, Sunday. And I need to hold assists. I need to hold blocks. And I need to steal steals from him. Otherwise, we would have tied 4-4. And I would have lost the championship in back-to-back years on a tiebreaker. And I'm looking, I have the last pickup ad drop of the season. No one else can make an ad drop. Everybody's already tapped out. I have the whole league of waivers at my disposal. I pick up a guy who has all season long been there for me. And I rode at different points of the season, and I love him. I was like, I need this guy to get a number of steals. I pick up DeLon Wright, one of my favorite players of all time now.
Okay.
And on the last game of the fantasy basketball season, DeLon Wright gets me 4 steals.
Whoa.
and I beat John.
Wow.
And I win the championship.
What a good end of the story.
Yeah.
I didn't know how it was going to end, though I think it would be unlikely you would create a narrative arc that ends poorly. It's not
I could have. So I just want to thank some players that got me here. I want to thank Steph Curry. I want to thank, most importantly, Markelle Fultz, who gets his first championship.
Wow. Well done.
Huge first steals and blocks for me on that last end assist. Darius Garland, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, who I just picked up, Taylor Horton Tucker, who had a great last week of the season, Jaren Jackson Jr., thank you very much, Kelly Olynyk, who had the Sixers they would have won several championships over the last few years, Kyle Anderson, Darrell Wright, Denny Avdia, who had a great little week there, Andrew Nemhard, and then guys I had to cut, Kristaps, Julius Randle, LaMelo, LeBron, Zion, all the guys that got me here. Tyus Jones, thank you very much. Who else? Other guy, Nick Richards playing for me a little bit here. I feel so, I can't express, and maybe because you won a championship also. I can't express how good it felt to, after you're spending so much time thinking about this. I am lying awake at night waiting for midnight to hit on the West Coast so that I can be the first pickup to get this guy. I'm changing my life around, my sleep patterns to win this fantasy championship, and I did. And John was very gracious about it. John has already won 2 championships, so he didn't need it as bad as I did. And I took home my first title, and I couldn't feel better. And I'm happy for Markelle. I'm happy for DeLon.
Is there any other podcast in America that has 2 executive league championships to its resume?
And I will tell you, Spike, because I know you'll feel the same way. I got 0 executive of the year votes.
There it is.
Year.
There it is. What a fucking bunch of losers this fucking league is.
I got not 1 executive of the year vote. I was like, I'm doing the most ad drops.
And
I'm making the most pickups of this league this season. And I get no credit for that. I get not even 1 vote. I voted for Legs this season, by the way. John wasn't happy about it.
Just for context for everybody else, the year that I won, where Legs was the executive, he got 0 executive of the league, executive of the year votes, and I sent such a nasty email to everyone that nobody replied to.
You did send a nasty email, but I feel validated. I didn't feel the need to gloat. I just feel like proud of my organization, proud of the journey that my fans went on this season and in the previous seasons. I thought I was going to become like the early 90s Buffalo Bills and lose in heartbreaking fashion back-to-back championships, but we broke through. DeLon Wright, man.
Congratulations.
I love him.
Well, it feels better because of the journey, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll be the Sixers journey this year.
Yeah. Probably not.
And how pointless of a way to end my final podcast until the second round of the playoffs than talking about my fantasy team that nobody gives a shit about.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
You didn't lose like really any people during your story. So I think it might have even peaked during the climax of this story.
Sign on to the Ricky. Mike's talking about his fantasy team. Quick.
We'll see you tomorrow. If we don't, have fun watching the video when it comes out. The playoffs are almost upon us. Hopefully nobody gets hurt against Brooklyn. How do I end it? Oh yeah. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.